Hey folks, my name is John. Today I'm going to talk to you about registering the copyright for your photographs, why it's incredibly important to do so, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process step by step. The general concept of copyright is pretty straightforward. You make something, you own the copyright to it. If another person or company wants to use that thing, they need your permission to do so. This is often referred to as licensing and usually involves that interested party paying you for the use. Super important side note, you might not always own the copyright to the thing you make. If you create work for yourself or on behalf of a client, you own the copyright. If, however, you are employed by a company and create something while acting as an employee of that company, you do not own the copyright to it. Your employer, the company, owns the copyright. This is called work for hire. An easy way to figure out who owns the copyright to the thing is the tax paperwork. If you have signed a W-2 form and made work on behalf of the company that gave you the W-2, you do not own the copyright. However, if you are receiving a 1099 form for the work you've done, you do own the copyright. This is a very important distinction, and the reason contract artists will often include the following line in their contracts. This agreement must not be construed as work for hire, and the client acknowledges that the creator is an independent contractor as distinguished from an employee. Copyright is serious business. In fact, it's the law. Sometimes referred to as Title 17 of the U.S. Code, the copyright law of the United States is 370 pages long. It's such a big deal that many attorneys are required to pass an additional bar exam in order to specialize in copyright law. That's a lot of info, but today we're only going to touch on one aspect, registering your copyright. Let's start by addressing the big consideration that may make this entire process seem unnecessary, when in reality there's actually a very good reason for it. If I automatically own the copyright to the thing I've made, then why do I have to go through the process of telling the government I own the copyright to it when it's a given that I own the copyright to it? It may seem that this process is redundant, but I would argue it's all about quantity. There are billions and billions of images captured every year. Many of those images are remarkably similar. A vast number of those images are easily accessible to anyone and everyone thanks to social media. With that amount of sharing, duplication, and similarities between images, you can see how it could occasionally become difficult to identify the true owner without a system in place. I admit that viewpoint sounds a bit subjective, so let's review the other reason, and it's a lot more straightforward. If your image is used without permission, it makes sense you want some sort of recompense for that usage, especially since the violating party may have profited from your hard work. Not always, but often this disagreement ends up in court, in which a judge and/or jury decides how much money you should get from the violating party. If your image is not registered, the most you can hope to get is referred to as actual damages. This is essentially the market value and actual costs incurred in the creation of the images. Those might be somewhat substantial, but they're usually only a few $1,000s. Now that's nothing to sneeze at, but the odds of convincing an attorney to litigate the case are slim to none. After court costs and fees, the financial gain from such a small case is simply not worth the time. However, if the images are registered, the case can result in what are called statutory or punitive damages. In this case, the offending party, the party that used the created work without permission, can be required to pay damages above and beyond actual value. These can be substantial. I like to refer to these as "you knew better and you did it anyway" damages. The amount of damages are dependent on a number of factors, such as intent, prior violations, size of profit gained from unpermitted use, distribution of the copyrighted work, other such considerations. It's important to mention at the time this video is being recorded, there are numerous changes being discussed and implemented in the world of copyright law that would make lawsuits for actual damages easier and cheaper for the copyright holder. A number of groups advocating on behalf of photographers are deeply involved in this process. The American Society of Media Photographers is a leading professional organization fighting for photographers' rights. To learn more about advocacy and the changes in copyright law, be sure to visit asmp.org. Well, that was an incredibly summarized overview of copyright and registration, but you're really here to learn the process of registering your photographs. So let's dig in. First things first, you need to create an account on the U.S. Copyright Office's website. Start by going to eco.copyright.gov. Click on that link on the left to register. At this point, you may want to pause this video. Once you've registered, come on back and finish the walkthrough. Now that you've created a profile, return to eco.copyright.gov and log into your account. On this landing page, you can see your recent registration requests or start a new one. In this tutorial, we'll be registering a group of photographs, and the Copyright Office has created just such a template. To start, click the link on the left side. Before starting, note that during this process, you will be filling out info on a series of pages, paying for the registration, and then uploading your collection of work. Start by clicking here. On this page, you'll be selecting whether you are submitting published or unpublished works. You can only submit one kind at a time, not a mixture of both. To extensively summarize, the U.S. Copyright Office views published works as works that have been made available to the public. That includes magazine use, any type of ad campaign, uploading to a website or online portfolio, and even social media. Unpublished works are works that have absolutely no distribution at all. If all you've done is shot, edited, and archived them, they are considered unpublished. Since virtually all of my final images are in some way or form accessible to people other than myself, I will be submitting a collection of published works. There are a few other important considerations to note. First, all submitted works must be created by the same individual. This is usually yourself. A single person must own the copyright to all the submitted works, also usually yourself. All submitted works must be published within the same calendar year. A maximum of 750 images can be submitted at once, and a specifically organized spreadsheet of the images must accompany the submission. We'll pause for a second to sort out that last addendum. When registering the copyright for your photographs, the basic point is that in the event the dispute ever ends up on a judge's desk, they'll need to look at your registered image and compare it to the image used by the violating party. Your images do not need to be gigantic high-resolution files. They only need to be large enough for the judge or arbitrator to determine whether the two images are the same. So let's downsize the files and make sure they're properly prepped. I have my chosen images open in Adobe Lightroom. I'll select all of them and go into the Export dialog. You'll see that they will export as compressed JPEGs at a fairly small size. I'll be sizing the long edge to 800 pixels. This will produce files that are more than large enough for their intended purpose. I'll pick where they're going to export to, and since I'm a huge fan of subfolders, I'll create an export folder inside the original folder. In the event you have a large number of files to submit, you'll want to batch rename them sequentially. We'll discuss the reason for this in a bit. You can either use the export dialog in Lightroom or other management software like Adobe Bridge. In Bridge, select all your images and click Command-Shift-R on a Mac or Control-Shift-R on a PC to access the batch rename dialog. Now that all your images are sized and sequentially named, we'll need to prep the accompanying spreadsheet. Go back to the current registration screen in your browser and click the link at the bottom of paragraph for Addendum 3. It will take you to this new page. Click on the link that says Template, then click Open Template. It will bring up this Excel sheet. Here's where the renaming comes in handy. If you're only uploading a dozen images, it doesn't take a long time to type in the titles one at a time. However, if you're uploading half a thousand like we're doing in this demo, that's going to take a minute. The Copyright Office requires you to submit each file with a unique file name, but it does not have to be a creative title if you've even come up with one in the first place. It's perfectly fine to submit a sequentially numbered list of images using the file name in both the field name and title fields. We'll make a list that we can easily copy and paste. If you're working on a PC like I am, open Explorer, navigate to the folder above the folder containing your sized numbered images, right-click the folder, and select Open Command Window here. Type the following line of code, making sure to copy it exactly, including spaces. Hit return and you'll see a text file that has been created in the folder along with your images. If you're working on a Mac, Google File Directory List Mac, and the first link that pops up will walk you through this process on your platform. Now that we have a nice clean list of file names, jump back into your Excel sheet. We'll select the full list of file names, making sure to get all of them and paste them into the title column. This will automatically populate the last column with a copy. We'll also paste them into the file name column. Next, plug in the month and year of publication for each image. The last thing we need is a case number. You can find it at the top of the registration page waiting for you in your browser. Paste it in the provided field at the top of your Excel sheet and you're good to go. Save your Excel sheet in the folder with your ready to upload images. Make sure to include the case number and the file name for the Copyright Office to reference. The last preparation step is to select all your files for submission as well as the Excel sheet and compress them into a single zip file. Name it appropriately and be sure to include your case number. This is the file you'll actually be submitting. Your files are ready to go, and now all you need to do is finish filling out the forms on the copyright registration website. Jumping back into our browser, we're ready to proceed. Don't forget to check the I agree to terms and conditions box before clicking the continue button. We're now on the titles page. Click the new button. Fill out the form including the title of your group, number of images, the year they were completed, the earliest and latest publication day, and the country in which they were first published. Since I upload work online nearly every day, my earliest and latest dates are the first and last of the year. Yours may be different. Click Save, then click Continue to proceed. On this page, you'll provide info about the creator of the submitted work. You can either fill out the fields one at a time or just click the Add Me button to autofill. You'll note the work for hire question isn't required, but considering its importance, as we discussed at the beginning of the video, I'm going to fill it out anyway. Click Continue to list the individual or individuals filing the copyright claim. As before, you can either click New to add a person manually, or you can click the Add Me button to autofill. Click Continue and add the person or organization who will receive the requests for use of registered works. Click Continue and add the person the Copyright Office will contact in the event they have questions regarding this registration application. Click Continue and add the address the Copyright Office will send the printed hard copy of the successful registration certificate. Note that you can expect to wait a few months to receive the certificate. Click Continue to get to Special Handling. This page is here in the event you expect imminent concerns about the registration timeframe, such as pending litigation, customs issues, or publication deadlines. Since none of that applies in this case, and since the special handling surcharge is a non-refundable $800, we're going to go ahead and skip that step. Click Continue and validate that all the stuff you've entered so far is accurate and true. Click Continue again to see a summary of all the content you've added so far. If everything looks good, click Add to Cart. You can add multiple registrations if you have more than one ready to go. Today we're just going to do this one. Each additional submission will be an additional $55. Click Checkout, then determine your desired method of payment. You'll see the warning that you're temporarily leaving the Copyright Office's website. Click OK to access the payment processing page. Fill out the form, click the Continue with Payment button at the bottom of the screen. Add the email address you want the confirmation sent to. Click Submit Payment. Remember that you didn't check the I authorize this payment box. Check the box and click Submit button again. Processing. Hooray! Your payment is successful. Click the Continue button to get to the Upload screen. Click the Select Files to Upload button and select your zip file. Click the Start Upload button. Once the upload is finished, you'll see a yellow box showing your submission has been successfully completed. To review your uploaded files, click the bottom link in the yellow box and you'll be taken back to your home page. That's it! Now, I'm not going to say it's a 2-second uninvolved process, but I will say that once you've gone through it a few times, it goes much faster. At this point, it takes me about 15 minutes to process each submission, not including upload time, which varies depending on your internet speed and the number of files you're uploading. The important thing to remember is to have an ongoing folder on your computer that you can add images to as you complete them during your day-to-day business and artistic endeavors. This way, when it comes time to register your images, they're nice and organized and you don't have to spend a lot of time digging through old files. I hope this walkthrough is informative and easy to follow. And don't forget, it's a complicated process, but registering your images protects you, your business, and your clients. And at the end of the day, that's what being a professional photographer is all about. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to keep up to date with new educational videos and swing by my site to check out new projects and behind-the-scenes content. My name's John. I'll see you next time.